All Social Security recipients, lawmakers you need to watch out for this. There are two major Social Security changes coming in 2024, and it may surprise most Americans. In October, the Social Security Administration will issue a press release detailing major changes to the Social Security program. A similar announcement is made around the same time each year, because certain aspects are adjusted annually to account for changes in wages and inflation. Even so, a recent survey from Nationwide Retirement Institute suggests that many Americans could be blindsided by some of the revisions. One of the largest knowledge gaps identified by the Nationwide report was the relationship between Social Security benefits and inflation. Fortunately, Social Security payments got an annual cost of living adjustment to fend off the effects of rising prices. Benefits will quickly lose buying power without the assurance. For instance, the average price of bread has increased 35% in the last decade. Annual COLAs are based on inflation data from the third quarter. And also, the Social Security Administration will probably issue its press release detailing the official COLA shortly after the Labor Department publishes September inflation data. The income subject to Social Security taxes is actually capped under the current law, though many politicians, including Joe Biden, want to change that. Currently, the maximum taxable earnings limit is $160,000, but the income cap is tied to the National Average Wage Index. In that scenario, some workers will owe Social Security taxes on an additional $7,500 in earnings. Most workers are taxed at 6.2%, which implies an additional $465 in taxes for workers with earnings that exceed that limit. So let's see what happens, everybody, and let's see if Joe Biden can send out the fourth stimulus check.
I really appreciate your testimony. This is all enormously helpful, and I'm very happy to get it on the record. So I'm going to start with a round of questions, and then I will go to the ranking member, Senator Kennedy. So the American economy depends on American workers. And when more Americans are working, our economy can produce more. When production's up, families can spend more. When Americans are spending, companies can hire more. There's no question that more workers means a better economy for families everywhere. Getting Americans to work is especially important today. Right now, thanks to President Biden, the state of our economy is strong. We have more businesses looking for workers than we have workers looking for jobs. But to keep our economy humming along and to stave off inflation, it's important we get more workers into the workforce to fill those open jobs. So, Dr. Edwards, let me just ask you, I want to make sure we get this on the record. You're an economist who studies labor markets. Does access to affordable, high-quality care affect labor market participation rates?
Typically, when you have debt discharge, the IRS treats it as taxable income. With student loan forgiveness, taxes work differently. In March, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan, which included a clause regarding student loan forgiveness, saying that any federal student loans that were discharged between 2021 and 2025 would not be considered taxable income in terms of federal taxes. Now, lawmakers are back in Washington for the predetermined midterm election sprint. Preventing a government shutdown will be the top legislative item for all lawmakers. The political environment has shifted over the past few weeks. This is impacted by a batch of legislative wins for Democrats earlier in the summer and signs the inflation-laden economy is improving. Democrats are now more confident than ever that they can stem expected losses in President Biden's first midterm elections. They are hopeful they can retain a majority in the Senate, while preventing Republicans from gaining a broad majority in the House. Passing a short-term spending bill before a deadline of September 30th at midnight, when the government funding is set to expire, is a top concern for everybody in Congress. The bill will need the support of Republicans in the Senate, and the 60 votes need to pass. Democrats want to demonstrate to voters they can govern responsibly and not allow a damaging shutdown. In the Senate, Democrats will also keep confirming federal judges nominated by Biden, with government funding set to expire at the end of the month. Both chambers are expected to pass some kind of stopgap funding extension in the upcoming weeks to avert the shutdown, and stopgap funding bills are known as Capitol Hill as a continuing resolution. The Senate Appropriations Chair, Patrick Leahy, a Vermont Democrat, is also aiming for a continuing resolution to run until mid-December to allow lawmakers time just to finish the regular appropriation bills. Now, Hawaii Democratic Senator Brian Schatz summed up the to-do list for Senate Democrats when asked recently by CNN when the September work period will look like. He said continuing resolution and judges. Amid concerns that the higher prices will hurt consumer wallets, some state and federal lawmakers are looking at ways to ease that pain at the pump. Mike Thompson, John Larson, and Lauren Underwood introduced the Gas Rebate Act of 2022, and that's going to send monthly payments of $100 to Americans where the average gas price is higher than $4 a gallon. The program will begin to phase out for individuals earning more than $75,000 and couples earning more than $150,000.
Him here, pleased to have invited him to see the most dynamic community, dynamic mayor, and congressional delegation that includes Congressman Al Green, Congressman Celia Garcia, Congressman Lizzie Fletcher, and yours truly, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and there are many others, but this is the dynamic delegation that we're so glad to have present here today. Somebody wanted to clap for the dynamic delegation. I knew that as the Secretary begins to implement the bipartisan infrastructure dollars, which this community is front and center for the initial portion of that $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, that the Secretary was very instrumental in his fact-finding, his advocacy on facts, as he met with the United States Congress and any number of congressional hearings to bring us to a point where those dollars, along with the Inflation Reduction Act, that will match together to help us be the cornerstone of new innovation in the world. And Houston, Texas, its aviation component, will be a major part of it, led by our own climate mayor, who has seen innovation grow up in Midtown, downtown, and in the airport. We are an innovation.
Policies that affect older adults, like the property tax relief and expanded eligibility for programs that assist with medical expenses. The Elder Index is a measure of the cost of living for older adults, nationally and for every state and county in the United States. The Elder Index uses various public databases to calculate the cost of healthcare, housing, food, and transportation, and miscellaneous expenses for seniors. It represents a bare-bones budget, adjusted for whether adults live alone or as part of a couple, and whether they rent or own homes or without a mortgage. Now, there are billions of dollars left over in stimulus funds. More and more governors have agreed to allocate this money towards the people that need it most, and that means stimulus checks. Beginning in October, California residents will receive one-time inflation relief checks of as much as $1,000. Whether you qualify for the middle-class tax refund and how much you could get depends on your income, filing status, and household size. The refund is expected to total around $9.5 billion as part of a larger $12 billion relief plan approved by lawmakers. In a statement, Newsom said California's budget addresses the state's most pressing needs and prioritizes getting dollars back into the pockets of millions of people who are grappling with global inflation and rising prices of everything from gas to groceries.